In this one, I'll top coat the trim and the shelf fronts. I'll build the false front and the drawer boxes. I'll install all the trim, hang the doors, and install the hardware. All this stuff has been polyed twice, and I'm just smoothing out the poly with some 220. Now I'm going to tack everything off with some mineral spirits. Then I'll hit it with the air and spray the top coat. Here I'm sanding the second coat of poly on the shelf fronts. And this is the final coat of poly on the shelf fronts. Preparing the false front for an easy installation. Now I'm setting the depth, and I'm going to run a groove on these drawer sides. This part is groovy. Laying out the drawer boxes and figuring out where I'm going to run the groove. Run the groove. Very groovy. The fronts and backs can be single-sided, but all the sides are double-sided, so they need to be taped. Mark out for pocket holes. Drill pocket holes. Take the tape off and start to put the drawer boxes together. Once I get the U built, then I can pull my numbers, cut the bottoms out, knock off the fuzzies, and install the bottoms. Make sure they're square and nail them off with 1/4-inch crown staples. And just hit that outside edge with poly. Now everything's finished. Not bad. Pulling the tape off, oddly satisfying. Now I'm wrapping all these up, getting them ready to transport. Now I'm adding the part of the drawer that goes on the drawer box. And I've got a little shim that I use, like a little spacer. Then I'm going to use an awl. And then I'll put a screw. 3 screws on either side. Up the mountain we go. This is my mobile miter station. Mighty nice. I'm going to start to put the hardware on the doors. hanging the doors. I don't use this style of hinge with the plastic inserts that much anymore. I prefer to just screw the hinge directly to the door. These are 1/2-inch overlay doors. Everything's labeled so I know exactly where it goes. I put that little block on the bottom down there to rest the door on. One screw at the top, one screw at the bottom, and then I can put the other 2 screws in after I've got the door basically hung. And then I come back and do all the adjusting. And mostly I adjust it by sound. I want it to sound like it's all hitting at the same time. I'm just going to go through and adjust all the doors. I like the gap to be about 1/8 of an inch between the doors. Adjust all of these. Then adjust all of these. Perfect. And head home. Here I'm just going to make a little template for the pulls, the hardware for the doors. Pretty simple. You just make a rectangle and then, well, I guess you could make a square. And then put 2 sides on it, like so. And then you want to lay your hardware out on the door. Very important that you get it looking like you want it to look. Don't worry about the measurements, just get it like you want it to look. Then mark it. Something. Yep, 1.25 inches. Okay. So 1.25 inches. Good. Now, what is this thing? It's looking like it's like 3 3/4. So now I'm going to burn 1 inch and go 3 3/4. And here we go. I'm adding the front to the drawer box. I'll attach it with 4 screws. Now the drawer goes in, and I've got to add 2 more screws to the brackets on either side and adjust it. Do the other drawer. And now I'm just adjusting the false front, and this is what it looked like all finished up. Screw the false front off. And now I'm going to throw the trim up here at the top. Miter Station has a bunch of little stash places where you can stash trim. I'll have to make a video about the Miter Station. It's not exactly crown molding, just molding. Tape this 10-inch stick up here. Get this number. Cut this piece of trim and get off this mountain. Oh yeah. Got this big piece of trim here to cover up the bottom of the cabinets. Tack it up there with some pins. I'm going to pre-drill some holes. Screw it up there. All this side trim has the tiniest little round over on it. Here I'm using my Oscar and a chisel to notch the base so that this side trim fits perfectly. Cutting and installing the toe kicks. Now I'm sorting out the hardware, and I'll use this jig to drill all the holes for the pulls. I'll first attach the handles with a screwdriver, and then I'll go back with my Raddi-Tat and tighten everything up. Adding the handles to the drawers. Attaching all the countertops, adding all the shelf pins, and now installing all of the shelves. Here I'm installing the backsplash and caulking it in. Now I'm going to tape on either side so I get a perfect caulk line between the backsplash and the countertop. And I'll do the same thing on the top of the backsplash. The caulk dries clear, but I never got to see what that looked like because I've never been back up there.
Oh,